making sure that everything is functioning well. And once we get the message. All right. We should be good to go. All right. So welcome everyone to Science on the Sound. My name is Emily Bjornsgard. I am the lead aquarist here at the MaST Center. And joining me today are three of our aquarium team members. And so we will be hearing from Lily Gray, who is the part-time aquarist here at the MaST Center. We'll be hearing from Samantha Guadiz, who is the one of our aquarium interns. Kendra Pearson is another aquarium intern who cannot join us virtually today, but pre-recorded a talk for you all. And then Sarah Beth Trinidad is our third aquarium intern who we will be hearing from. So to get started right off the bat, we have Lily. Lily has been working at the MaST Center for a couple of years. She is also the aquarist at the Foss Waterway Seaport in Tacoma. Her favorite fish is the grunt sculpin, which is a very cute little bottom fish shown here in the picture. And she will be talking about Shiner Perch Baby Watch 2025, the life cycle of Shiner Perch and the details of the babies that will soon be born at the MaST Center Aquarium. So I'm going to stop screen sharing, Lily, so you can share your screen and take it away.
All right, just a second. I'm just getting everything. Everyone see that all right?
Looks great.
All right. So I've got a fun update for anyone who plans to visit the MaST Center in the coming weeks. As you can see, Shiner Perch Baby Watch 2025. It's about time for our Shiner Perch here at the MaST Center to give birth. So first, we're gonna tell you all about Shiner Perch. I'm gonna introduce you to them. As their name suggests, they're a very shiny fish. They seem to flash in the sunlight. Very beautiful. They are fairly small. They get up to 8 inches in length, but are more typically seen in the 3 to 5 inch range. They are overall silver with these black spots on each of their scales and 2 yellow bars on their sides. Typically, you will learn about the ones that change color a little later. They form massive schools that can have several thousand individuals. And you can see here, they are generalist feeders and they will eat anything that can fit in their mouths. Our Shiner Perch at the MaST, they eat small plankton, small frozen food. They are very hungry animals. So they are one of the most common animals found along Redondo Beach near the MaST Center. They're often seen near pilings or in shallow eelgrass beds in the summer. This video here shows Shiner Perch around the MaST Center at night. This was taken with our underwater camera we had that shared live video on this same YouTube channel, the Highline MaST Center Aquarium YouTube channel. And all those little faces in the back are more Shiner Perch. You can see just how many of them and just how tightly they school. They are, in this video, they are eating the tiny plankton, the little specks you see float around. They're eating those which are attracted to the light that the camera was putting off. So, onto their reproduction. Unlike most people think about fish reproduction, Shiner Perch do not lay eggs. They actually give live birth to babies like this down here. They can be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long. This smaller baby on the left, this is a newborn baby, or on the right, excuse me. Smaller baby on the right is a newborn baby. The slightly larger baby on the left is going to be a couple weeks old. Now, to show the difference between the sexes of Shiner Perch, this individual up here showing the standard color with the silver and the yellow bars on the sides, that is a female Shiner Perch. And this individual in this photo is pregnant. You can see sort of the shape of the abdomen there is quite rounded when compared to how thin, kind of the shadow is what dictates. This is a much thinner fish. Down here we have a male. Now, when it comes time for breeding, the males actually change color, specifically the dominant males. So the dominant males will turn this overall dark, almost completely black color while courting females, sort of as a way to show off, show that they are dominant, they're strong, they want to be the ones that are able to breed that year. Smaller males who are not able to fight the larger males will typically remain the same color as the females during the breeding season. Here we can see this dominant dark colored male courting the female. You can see he chases that smaller fish away at the top. And I'll repeat the video. What he's doing is this female isn't quite ready to breed yet, but he wants to be the only male around her when she is ready to breed. That way he can be the father of her offspring. So he will chase all the other fish away from her until she's ready to breed, at which point he will mate with her. So he's got his own little area here. At the MaST Center, we have multiple pregnant females in this system here. You can see all of our shiner perch. You can see sort of these ones with the big round bellies. It's kind of hard to tell in this further off shot, but this is definitely a pregnant fish. This is a non-pregnant fish showing typical colors, dominant male, dark colors. In the Puget Sound, the babies are born all through summer, but at the MaST Center, our babies are usually born in August. So by the looks of our females, if you are watching this live today, by the looks of our females, our babies could be born really at any time. So the MaST Center is on its summer hours right now between July and August. You can come in on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or Sunday from noon to 4. And that again is from July through August. And you can try to see if you can see any of the baby shiny perch, any of the baby shiner perch being born soon. That's about it. Any questions?
That's awesome. Thanks, Lily, for sharing. Super exciting that we are going to now have our baby shiner perch starting to show up. So I have a question for you. Because you are one of the aquarists here at the MaST Center and you help take care of all the animals, what is your favorite and most challenging part of taking care of the shiner perch?
Of the shiner perch? One of the things is they eat so much. And you try to get them the food, and the bigger ones will take a bunch of the food before the smaller ones can get to it. So you got to make sure you feed them enough that everybody gets some.
Definitely. That's great. So also, if one wanted to see the shiner perch, but they weren't able to get to the MaST Center, what either going to another facility or going out in nature, how would you what would be your best recommendation to finding the shiner perch and viewing them?
So the shiner perch can be visible off docks. There are many fish who can be visible off the end of docks. The shiner perch are going to be sort of a taller fish rather than very long and skinny. And when they turn in the water, they are going to flash brightly because their scales are so shiny. Other facilities, Harbor Wild Watch, other facilities in the I forgot the name, the Coastal Marine Science Centers of the Salish Sea, the Marine Science Centers of the Salish Sea, that's it. The collaborative, other facilities will have shiner perch.
That's great. So yeah, so it sounds like kind of anywhere you are in the Washington and maybe even British Columbia
Oh
areas,
yeah.
you might be able to find a facility who might have Shiner Perch and maybe they'll have babies too.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Thank you so much for sharing. We want to make sure that you can get off to your rescue class as soon as possible.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with your dive class. So coming up next, we have a talk from Samantha. Here, let me share my screen here. So you are free to leave, Lily. Thank you so much.
There we go. All
Um,
right.
so
Have a good day.
Samantha has been an intern from at the MaST Center since last September. So she's almost at a year, which is incredible, and we so much appreciate her help in the aquarium. And she is a graduate of the University of Washington with a bachelor's degree in marine biology. Her favorite marine creature is the giant Pacific octopus, specifically Pickles, our juvenile giant Pacific octopus shown here. And she will be talking about her journey as a MaST intern. And I can't wait to hear about it. So, Samantha, I will stop sharing my screen and you can take it away.
Perfect. All right, let me get this set up. Mhm. Just share. All right. Mhm. Okay, let me know if you can see it.
Looks great.
All right. Hello everyone. I'm Samantha Guadiz, and I'm here to share with you my aquarium adventures interning at the MaST Center. Sorry about that. So again, I'm Samantha Guadiz, and I graduated from the University of Washington, June 2024, with a Bachelor's of Science degree in marine biology. And I started my internship here at MaST in October 2024. So like Emily said, almost a year, and I'm happy to be here for this long. So here's a bit of an overview of the internship here at MaST. This is specifically the aquarium internship. I know that there are others, but this one today I'll be talking about the aquarium one. So for what we do daily, we do daily aquarium checks. For our daily aquarium checks, you do them first thing when you come in or whenever you come in during the week. You're checking for water levels, making sure that the tanks aren't overflowing, that they're not too low. You're also checking for air stones to see if they're on or not, making sure that they're working properly. And you're also checking for general animal health and behaviors, making sure that all the animals in the aquarium are doing okay, and making sure things are running smoothly. You'll also be performing tank maintenance. Usually, almost every time you come in, you'll be doing glass cleaning, siphoning the sediment, so sand or rocks or gravel, for the tanks, making sure all the gunk is out of there. And then you'll also be spraying filter bags, maybe for the jellies or the touch pool, just making sure that they're clean and ready to go. You'll also be doing feeding. With feeding, we do our daily brine shrimp that we grow and harvest every 2 days. As you can see with the moon jellies in the top right, their gonads are bright orange because they have ingested the brine shrimp that we feed them. We also feed the brine shrimp to a lot of the filter feeders and the anemones, especially all the ones in tank 10. For feeding, you'll also be doing regular feedings and food prep of different types of seafoods for the animals, maybe some bivalves for the starfish, kelp for the sea urchins, and all that good stuff. You'll also be doing water quality. You can see up there in the top left, I was doing water quality. With water quality, you'll be checking for temperature, salinity, pH, ammonia, nitrates, and all of that, just to make sure that the water quality is healthy for the animals and making sure that they'll be okay living there. And you'll also be doing life support. Life support consists of pump and pipe cleaning and maintenance, making quarantine tanks for sick fish, redesigning tanks to fit specialized needs, making like hiding places for animals, things of that nature, making sure that the tank itself is comfortable enough for the animals living in them. And then as you can see in the bottom two pictures, that's me cleaning and cleaning out the tank 7 barrels, I believe. And yeah, that's the type of life support that you'll be doing. Like with any internship or job, there are pros and cons. And for this internship, some of the pros I found are that you get to have a really flexible schedule while you're here. In my case, I kind of just let Emily know when I'll be able to come in each week. We set a date and time. We usually follow that schedule, and it can be as little or as much as you like throughout the week. Another pro is that the project that you do are tailored to your personal interests. So, for example, I redesigned a tank where I had free reign over the whole design and what I wanted it to showcase. There was also another intern who was an artist, so he made the moon jelly phases that you would see if you visit the aquarium on the moon jelly tank. Those are kind of just some examples of that. You also get to be very hands-on with the animals, from beach stains to tank relocations. You'll be able to handle all of these animals and learn how to handle them correctly and safely. And you also get to build skills faster working directly with the lead aquarist. And in my opinion, that's better than working in bigger groups or classes, because you get to get more one-on-one time with the person who you're working with, meaning you get to learn more things, and you get to engage in more activities, and you can learn how things are run at the aquarium just by observing interactions with other people. And another pro is that you get to work in the aquarium all day. You get to hang out with fun little sea creatures like the moon snail there, or maybe even a baby lumpy. But yeah, it's all fun. But with pros also comes cons. And some of the cons interning here at the MaST Center include working in outdoor conditions. So in fall and winter, it gets really cold and it's wet from all the rain. And then in spring and summer, it gets really hot and dry, especially when you're outside working on the pump. But it also gets really slippery because things are always wet. So if you don't think you could handle those things, then this internship is probably not for you. It also gets really messy when you're cleaning tanks. You'll encounter a lot of slimy algae, sharp barnacles. Your clothes will get really salty because you're working around salt water all the time. And this internship is also unpaid. It's unpaid, but it's more, in my opinion, for experience and learning new things, especially aquarium-wise things. I think that the pros outweigh the cons in this case, and it's definitely worth your time because you get to learn way more things than you wouldn't. So, and then here are some of the highlights of my internship here at the MaST. So the first highlight I have are beach stains. So beach stains are when we get to go out into the water and take a big net and drag the net to the shore. And from there, we get to collect all the animals that get trapped in that little area. And then we get to take some back to the aquarium, and the ones we don't want to keep, we send them back into the ocean. And yeah, and my second highlight are the behind the scenes aquarium tours. So with Emily's connections, she was able to get us behind the scenes aquarium tours at the Seattle Aquarium and Point Defiance Zoo. And there we were able to see how larger aquariums work, and we could compare them to how the MaST Center works. And I think it was really cool to see how larger aquariums work in general compared to smaller ones like the MaST. And then another highlight I have is my tank 705 redesign. So in this tank, a lot of the animals like to hide and we couldn't really see them too often. So my goal for the tank redesign was to give them more hiding places, but allow themselves to showcase themselves better. So with that, I made the little concrete structures that you could see at the bottom there. I made little caves, little arches, hoping that the animals will take take up a home in there. As you can see, Muppet actually did in the bottom right corner. I kept a lot of the barnacle structures that were in there because a lot of the animals like to hide, and so I didn't want to get rid of that. But yeah, that was the goal of my Tank 705 redesign. It doesn't look like this anymore, but it was a fun redesign. And then some more highlights. So MaST is off the dock and on the water, so you could easily see marine mammals wherever you are in the aquarium. We see a lot of porpoises. There was one time where I saw hundreds of porpoises out in the water. There was a humpback swimming through a few days ago. We see a lot of harbor seals just saying hi, poking out their heads. And then I also got to see my very first orca for the first time. I was actually snorkeling in the water at the time when they saw, which was kind of scary, but it's okay. They were far enough. The next highlight I have is the freshwater bay collection trip. This was, I think, probably one of the top highlights that I have. We drove 3 hours to Port Angeles to do an intertidal collection. So that we could collect animals that we don't have in this area. And it was super fun. We got to snorkel around for a little bit, and I had an excuse to put on a wetsuit for the first time. So that was really fun. And last but not least, I had the Waterland Parade. As you can see, we were in shark costumes. This was for our float representing us as the sixth guild shark capital of the world. And by us, I mean Des Moines. So yeah, we were sharks swimming around the cage, giving toys and snacks to kids, and it was really fun. Yeah, so you might be able to get to do these things here if you are interning at the MaST Center. Some of the major takeaways that I have is that working in aquariums is a lot of physical work. So you're always lifting heavy things, climbing step ladders, crouching down, pushing and pulling things, scrubbing things. Like you'll do a lot of physical work, and you might not need to go to the gym afterwards. So another major takeaway I have is that working with animals means every day is different. So when you're working with animals, their health may vary from day to day. The seasons change, so that means behaviors change. Animals are always moving in and out of the aquarium between tanks, so you have to adjust to that. You could also encounter equipment failures where you will need to implement emergency life support. So if the power goes out, making sure that we have backup air stones, making sure that the animals get oxygen and all that stuff. And all of this is hard work, but it's very rewarding. I don't want to scare anyone away from becoming an aquarium intern, but getting to see all the animals healthy and thriving because of your help makes it so worth it. Yeah. And for next steps and future applications, this internship has definitely piqued my interest in the aquarium industry. And if possible, I would like to pursue a career in it and continue my journey. And I'll do this by applying to more aquarium related jobs and internships whenever I can find. And I'm always going to visit the MaST Center even after I stop interning here. It always will have a little special place in my heart. So yeah. Thanks for listening. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. That was a great overview of the internship program in general and also just your experiences. It's great to hear that it was a pretty positive experience. So I have a couple questions for you. What was the most unexpected part of your internship?
I think the most unexpected part would probably be having to go on like the like doing all the little side activities, like helping out with beach stains and actually getting in the water, going to the freshwater bait collection trip, like what other aquarium internship can you do that at? You know, I think those things were fun. Things like the shark parade, like the little side activities, made it really fun and kept me wanting to come back.
Great. And what is your, I also want to mention that because Samantha has been with us for quite some time, she is what I would consider one of our senior interns. She helps with training new volunteers and interns as they come into the program, and she's been fantastic at it. So what is one of your biggest takeaways? I know you had a slide of like a few of your major takeaways, but what would you say was your biggest takeaway from your internship this far?
Along with all of the physical things that I mentioned, I also really liked how community driven the MaST Center was, and just the aquarium industry in general. People are always talking to other aquarists from other aquariums, talking about what they're doing for their animals or collaborating on beach stains. And I think that it was really important to see that because it just shows how connected you want to be to other people in order to have a successful aquarium.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much. If any other questions come up, we will have a chance to answer them at the end. But right now we will move on to our next speaker, which is a pre-recorded talk from Kendra Pearson. She has been with the aquarium since her capstone project internship started in January 2025. And she just graduated from the University of Washington with her bachelor's degree in the environmental studies program. Her favorite marine creature is the jellyfish, specifically the moon jellies that she helped raise here at the MaST Center this winter. And so we will listen to her pre-recorded talk. And then if you have questions for Kendra, you can reach her on LinkedIn, which she will mention shortly here.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As Emily said, my name is Kendra Pearson, and we're going to talk about navigating a career in conservation and marine science after graduation. So, I had just graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in environmental studies and a passion for conservation across the board. But graduating with a passion for marine science and conservation can feel like diving into open waters. It's exciting, vast, and at times overwhelming. I know this firsthand. Today, I want to share not just a roadmap, but a real-life story about what it's like starting a career in marine conservation while navigating the early stages. So, we're going to talk about my story. If I had a book about my life right now, it would probably be called A Foot in the Ocean and a Hand in the Soil. At the MaST Center, I worked directly with Emily for lots of hands-on jobs and teamwork building activities that get me in the field and in the water. Now I'll explain some of that more in a second. But first, let's talk about where I am right now, how I got there, and where I'm going next with the tools and skills I have gained on the way. So, on top of my internship, I work at a local plant store, which is more than just a job. It's a strategic way to support myself financially while staying rooted in ecosystem care. Plants and animals both teach us stewardship, and I use that role to keep honing my communication, customer engagement, and organizational skills. It's a balancing act, but every piece supports the bigger picture that I want. So, let's get into it. Let's talk about some first practical steps, which are internships, fieldwork, and of course, income. Post-graduation life isn't just a one-size-fits-all. So, if not sooner rather than later, I would start seeking meaningful internships with marine centers, conservation organizations, or field stations, if that applies to what you're interested in. And always saying yes to hands-on fieldwork. Either that is snorkeling, beach scenes, and even animal collection trips deepen experience and confidence. And don't ever feel guilty about having other side jobs. Whether at a plant shop or elsewhere, they can help you sharpen your transferable skills and that you can take later into the field. A pro tip for you, try to blend your worlds. Use your day job as another space for public engagement and environmental storytelling. Also, always push yourself out of your comfort zone, like signing up for talks and presentations like this one. I promise that people won't tell if you're nervous if you're confident and you keep practicing. And all volunteer work is good volunteer work. Trust me. Whether it's working with kids on the weekends or even putting on a shark outfit and running around for the day, all of it means more. We'll also talk about the power of showing up. One of the most impactful choices I made after joining the MaST Center was saying yes to everything, even early morning collection trips. But that also means above water support for some other people on your staff, building projects, and assisting in beach scenes. I signed up for any task where I could learn something and meet someone new in the field. And here's some ways that it paid off. You get skill diversification. I gained hands-on experience not only in moon jelly husbandry, which I first started at the MaST for, but also in exhibit maintenance, water testing, and animal collection. These small tasks built a larger toolbox and showed me what parts of conservation I truly love. There's also the point of unplanned mentorships. By showing up consistently, I worked alongside aquarists, marine educators, and conservation volunteers who started sharing advice, resources, and professional wisdom that they've gained over the years. And these casual relationships led to opportunities I wouldn't have had on my own. But you also want to always consider the community visibility that you gain from this. Saying yes to all of these also made me a go-to person. Interns, staff, and visitors recognized me, which created more chances to speak on behalf of the aquarium and represent its mission publicly. One lesson I learned is that sometimes the biggest breaks in conservation come not from formal interviews or polished resumes. I mostly got it from hauling nets in the rain, scrubbing tanks with care, and being the person who showed up. So now we'll get into the topic of education versus experience. Graduate school can be transformative, but so can real-world experiences. A few things that I consider when it comes to the next levels of education are: you should reflect on your goals. Do you crave more specialization for your dream job? Would research or policy roles benefit from advanced studies? Or are you thriving in mentorship, fieldwork, and public engagement already? At the moment, I don't plan on going back to college right now, but that could change at any moment. Right now, I'm working on strengthening my hands-on knowledge and the tools I learn every day through the work I do at the internship and my job. But this looks different for everyone. So just because I'm sitting here today telling you I don't plan on going back to college anytime soon doesn't mean that it's something not to consider. There are lots of careers in the fields of marine conservation and wildlife science that require you to go back to school. But some people also don't know what they want to do with their degrees or feel like they're stuck in that kind of in-between limbo of starting your career or going and continuing their education. And this isn't a decision that you have to make overnight, today, or even tomorrow. And know that you can always go back to school, but sometimes getting a foot in the door earlier is better than later. Now we're going to talk about my lovely mentors. So, building networks and finding mentors. Here are some of the tips that I have for you today that have helped me personally. And that is attend marine science events, panels, and local restoration efforts. Also, connect with professionals via LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to ask for informal interviews. It could help you practice or just to get to know someone more on the professional side. At the MaST, my mentor's guidance has shaped my trajectory and shown me how passion translates into impact. So, don't network to impress, but network to learn. I got extremely lucky at a young age to be able to find mentors who not only helped me open up my passion for marine conservation, but also someone who I look up to every day. When I first started at the MaST, I was extremely nervous about being surrounded by people who knew what they were talking about and who had a passion that I couldn't hold a flame to. But over time, I got more confident in what I was learning and saying. And they opened up to me as well. And I would like to consider everyone who worked at the MaST my mentors and people who I look up to every single day. And even when my time finishes up at the MaST, I won't forget anyone, and it's safe to say that I think all of them changed a part of me and helped me build the person that I am today. So, thank you all to them. Now, we're going to get into LinkedIn. Of course, there's a slide on LinkedIn. Which is your digital dive buddy. At this age, LinkedIn isn't just a website. It should be your best friend if you're planning on getting your career started right away, or if you're still in college. I I linked up with so many professors and students, and it was extremely helpful. So here's why it should be your main platform right now. And this is what mine look like. There is professional discovery on LinkedIn. You can find marine scientists, aquarists, policy advisors, nonprofit leaders, and yes, even former interns turned director. You should follow them, learn from them, and connect with them. It's also a huge opportunity magnet. Jobs, internships, fellowships, webinars, LinkedIn feed isn't just noise. It's a current of real opportunities for people like us. It's also great for building a personal brand. So, like these slides you see behind me, you can share your conservation work, field work, photos, cartoons, reflections. Let the others see what drives you and makes you personable and has you stand out compared to the rest. And you don't need to be established to make waves. You just need authenticity. It's also a great place for peer community. There's comfort in knowing that others are figuring things out too. From science students to career changers, LinkedIn reminds you that you are not alone in this ocean. So, for my final thoughts for you today, I would ask everyone here watching to live and keep living by your values. You don't need to have a perfect job title to be a conservationist. You just need consistency, creativity, and courage. Whether I'm caring for moon jellies, crafting visuals like this today, or repotting ferns, I'm always pursuing the same goal, which is restoring the connection between people and the natural world. And your journey won't look like mine, and that's the point. The ocean needs all kinds of advocates to make sure the job gets done and the passion keeps flowing. So, fortunately, we're getting to the end. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And if you have any questions, reflections, or even just want to share your path of conservation, I would love to continue this conversation with you. And of course, you can reach me on LinkedIn at Kendra Pearson. I'm always open to connecting with fellow ocean advocates, students, and professionals who share a passion for this work. Let's build a network that supports and uplifts others in protecting the planet. Thank you all for coming today. Sorry I couldn't make it and be there with you, but I'm here in this way.
Awesome. Huge thanks to Kendra for pre-recording her talk. I know she really wanted to be here today, but it was great to hear from her. And if you do have any questions for her or you would like to connect with her, find her on LinkedIn and talk to her that way. So our final speaker for today is Sarah Beth Trinidad. She is one of our newer aquarium interns. She's been here since May and is pursuing a degree in animal health and behavior with a marine biology focus from Unity Environmental University. Her favorite marine creature is the Pacific spiny lumpsucker, and she will be talking about the art of creative husbandry, which is super exciting. When Sarah Beth started, we talked about kind of what she wanted her project to look like, and she and I both share a love of the Pacific spiny lumpsucker, and so she has done some really great work and some behavioral practices with them. So I will let her take it away.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Beth. I'm an aquarium intern here at the MaST Center. And today I want to take you on a journey that's as much about creativity as it is about the animals. Oh no. Can you see me?
Now I can see your screen.
Can you see me?
I can see me. Hide me. One moment. We love technical difficulties.
You have to pin her or spotlight.
There we go. Now we can see
There we
you.
are.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay. I'm Sarah Beth. I'm an aquarium intern here at the MaST Center, and today I want to take you on a journey that's as much about creativity as it is about animals. This talk is about how thinking like an artist and a storyteller can shape better care for animals, even the tiny, round, unassuming ones like the Pacific spiny lumpsucker. Through exhibit design, training, and creative communication, I learned how empathy and innovation work together to support both animal welfare and public engagement. It turns out that even these tiny, clumsy-looking fish can learn, and I got the chance to be the one to train them. My focus wasn't just on whether I could train the fish, but on how creativity could make that training meaningful for the animals, for me as a learner, and for the people who visit. Creativity, innovation, and empathy can shape better care for animals, and they can also inspire people to get excited and get involved. The star of this project is the Pacific spiny lumpsucker. They're tiny globular fish covered in little spines, and they have a suction disc on their bellies that they use to stick to surfaces. They're found all along the North Pacific coast, from intertidal zones to hundreds of feet deep, and they're part of the local ecosystem here in the Puget Sound. At the MaST Center, people are obsessed with these fish, and it's easy to see why. They look like little floating bumblebees bobbing around awkwardly. Their faces are surprisingly expressive, and they quickly become a favorite for visitors of all ages. But this summer, since the water temperature is higher than they like, they had to be moved into a shallow holding tank that could be chilled down to their preferred 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That tank was, let's just say, functionally boring. When I stepped into this project, I was given an opportunity to redesign their exhibit, create enrichment, and ultimately make this space more engaging for both the animals and the public. From the start, I knew I wanted this to be more than just setting up a functional tank. I wanted it to be a space that would support their welfare, offer opportunities for training, and give me room to explore how design and behavior interact. So I took on the full process, building the environment, planning the training, documenting behavior, and sharing the story behind it all. My first step in designing the new exhibit was to get inspired by other professionals, so I went to the Point Defiance Aquarium to observe how they displayed their lumpsuckers. Their setup was a deep vertical exhibit meant to reflect offshore habitats, but my space was a shallow, temperature-controlled holding tank. So instead, I looked right outside at the MaST Center at Redondo Beach. I decided to model the tank after the lumpsucker's shallow nearshore eelgrass habitat. I read research papers, regional fish ID books, and marine species guides, but the most helpful source I found was actually a presentation on lumpsuckers by Emily earlier this year. It was super detailed and grounded in our local context, which helped me narrow my vision. I took a photo of the barren tank and used Procreate to sketch a mock-up directly on the image. I imagined a stage-like training area in the front center, anchored by a large black rock that would visually cue both the fish and the viewer. I designed the rest of the tank around that stage using eelgrass to soften the background, provide shelter, and hide plumbing elements. I also created depth and visual layering to highlight the foreground where training would happen. I wanted to source my materials locally, so I painstakingly gathered shell hash from the beach next to MaST and collected rocks that matched the color palette and size I needed. I think one of the coolest moments was when I laid everything out and realized that the final setup actually matched my digital mock-up almost perfectly. My goals for this exhibit were comfort for the animals, clarity for training, and aesthetic appeal for the public. I wanted it to feel intentional and immersive without being over-decorated. It's simple, but it works. While planning my training approach, I came across a really cool study published in Biology Letters that showed fish could be trained to follow divers wearing a particular color, anticipating food. That gave me the confidence to try using color as part of my own training process, specifically to help the fish associate a location and object with feeding. I was already using a pipette to dispense food, and it happened to have green tape on it. Green is also a common color used for aquarium nets, so I leaned into that consistency. I ended up using just two tools, the pipette and the net. The pipette played a double role. It was both a target stick and a feeding tool. I used it to gently guide the fish where I wanted them to go and then dispensed food as soon as they responded to the movement. The aquarium net became my version of a hoop, since it's a common aquarium tool and the association could help the fish feel more comfortable around the net. I did make one modification mid-training. I noticed that the fish were following the green tape on the middle of the pipette instead of the tip, so I added more green tape to the end, and they began following the tip of the stick instead, giving me more precision in shaping movement. This small change had a big effect, and it really showed me how observant the fish were and how small adjustments could make training more clear for them. Operant conditioning is when you use rewards to encourage voluntary behavior. In this case, I rewarded the fish when they did something I wanted, like following the target stick or approaching a location. My first goal was to get them to associate the black rock with food. That space was the center of the tank, and I designed it intentionally as a kind of stage for the interactions. From there, I encouraged the fish to follow the target stick and eventually to swim through the net, acting like a hoop. I used adult brine shrimp as the food reward, and I dispensed it directly from the target stick so they'd begin associating the motion of the stick with a positive outcome. As they got more consistent, I started adding more time before delivering food, essentially shaping longer or more complete behaviors. One of my biggest breakthroughs was when I noticed that fish who weren't part of the session would start hovering nearby. More and more of them became curious over time just by watching, but I was careful not to rush or pressure them. I kept the training sessions around 20 minutes and only focused on fish that showed interest. I didn't want to stress them or force engagement. This required a lot of patience. I learned to really watch and wait. Sometimes that was the most effective part. In a way, the most important communication wasn't the target stick or the food, it was giving the lumpsuckers the time and space to choose to participate. The idea to use a net as a hoop came from a mix of creativity and play. I thought it would be so silly and fun to teach the fish to swim through a hoop, and then I realized I could actually make one by cutting a hole in a standard aquarium net. But it wasn't just for fun. Fish are usually skittish around nets, and that makes sense. Nets are tools we typically associate with catching or moving animals. But by integrating the net into a positive training experience, I was giving the fish a chance to learn that it wasn't something scary. I set the net near the black rock they were already stationing on, then used the target stick and food reward to gently guide interested fish through the hole. I rewarded the small approximations first, then gradually shaped the behavior. For me, this was one of the most exciting parts of the project. It was novel, no one expects a fish to swim through a hoop, but it also had serious welfare value. Not only were they more comfortable around the net, but having them station and swim forward in a clear view also made it easier to visually check their bodies. That kind of observation is crucial when doing health checks, which we have done many times in my short time at the aquarium. Everyone I showed this to found it really amusing, which was fun for me too. But beneath the silliness, this was this real sense of innovation and care. I was using training not just to enrich the animals, but to support their long-term well-being. Sharing the hoop training with others made me realize something powerful. The story behind the behavior, the why and the how, was just as engaging as the behavior itself. That's when I started thinking about how storytelling and media could amplify the impact of this work. One of my original ideas was to create a QR code experience that guests at the aquarium could scan. It would lead to a webpage showing behind-the-scenes videos and blog-style content about the training sessions. The goal was to invite people into the process, showing them not just that training was happening, but that even small fish like lumpsuckers could learn and engage. I thought it would challenge perceptions and make people think more deeply about animal intelligence and care. That said, the QR idea didn't happen. I simply ran out of time. It was a reminder that it's okay to dream big, but also work within realistic timelines, especially as a student balancing multiple responsibilities. What I did create was a blog-style webpage that I shared with friends, along with this presentation. I also had a couple hours worth of training sessions that I edited into a very brief highlight reel that I'll share here, and hopefully it has sound. Or not. But first I was guiding the fish over to the black rock. This fish was one of the most responsive. So I would reward them once they were over at the rock. And then eventually they just kind of hung out on that rock knowing there was food over there. And then the other fish that were not as interested in the beginning became more interested. And that's when I introduced the net and eventually got them to swim through it. One thing that surprised me was how people responded. I told some of my salon clients that I was training fish and they laughed, but then they asked questions. They wanted to know about the fish, the training, and the aquarium itself. These conversations became unexpected outreach moments. Documenting the process helped me zoom out and see the project through a broader lens. It wasn't just a project or training routine, it became a storytelling opportunity. It made me think about how this kind of content can inspire curiosity and empathy, especially in people who might never think twice about a little fish in a tank. That's really what I want my media to do. Be digestible and accessible and make people curious. If I can get someone to pause, smile, and wonder, wait, fish can learn? Then I've opened a door. That's the first step towards connection and ultimately toward conservation. This experience showed me that even small fish can teach big lessons. Through training, the lumpsuckers became more confident, less stressed, and more engaged. What started as a behavior experiment quickly turned into something more meaningful, both for the fish and for me. By thinking creatively, using enrichment tools in new ways, documenting the process, and trying to communicate it, I realized just how powerful these methods can be. It's not just about improving husbandry, but also about shifting public perception and opening the door to empathy. Fish are often overlooked, but they are capable, intelligent, and deserving of the same innovation and welfare focus we give other animals, and I believe media, storytelling, and creative outreach can help people see that. On a personal level, creativity helped me find my voice. I was stuck on this presentation until I stopped overthinking and just let it flow. That's what I want to encourage in others too. Creativity belongs in science. It's where discovery starts. So if there's one thing I hope you walk away with, it's this. Whether it's training fish or public education, conservation, or animal care, we all benefit when we think outside the net. That's it.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah Beth. I loved seeing the kind of the process of your behavioral training come to fruition. That's so great. The little lump suckers are they're my favorite too. So I love that you found a fish that maybe people don't think about, or you think little fish, there's not much to them, but you showed that there really is maybe a bit of a depth in their shallow little pool.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you. What is your favorite fact that you learned about the Pacific spiny lumpsucker during this process? And were there any reasons beyond that there was a lot of potential with their tank overhaul, why you chose them?
Well, I chose them because they're really, really cute. And I was drawn to them first when I first saw them on that day that you suggested that they were food motivated, and the fact that they were swimming up to the top of the tank. They do interact with people as you walk by. So that's what drew me to them. And then the most interesting thing that I learned about them in this whole thing was that their little spines are made out of teeth, and I don't remember what it's called now, but that fact was, I think, really interesting to me.
For sure. Yeah, there's a researcher here up in the San Juans that studies I think it's enamel that covers their little spines, which is just the craziest thing. That's awesome. And what is your biggest takeaway from this project? And if you had, unlimited time, unlimited budget, where would you go from here?
Well, if I had unlimited time and budget, I really like the thought of an immersive exhibit, and kind of like bringing that creativity into teaching the public about things. So I really like the idea of QR codes and exhibits and kind of like giving people an interactive media that they can kind of like see, oh, this is a video of this fish being trained, or it can be expanded to other conservation topics too.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for doing your presentation. It's been great to hear from you and all of our speakers. We are just about at our time limit. So I just will sign off by saying that Science on the Sound has been great, and I am so excited to hear from all of you guys. And we look forward to next month's Science on the Sound, which unfortunately will be my last Science on the Sound. But I will be presenting on the seasonality of Poverty Bay, kind of looking from a plankton perspective onto some of the larger events that happen throughout the year here, for both people on the shore and for divers, and then also in the aquarium. So tune in next month, the first Saturday of September. We will be back here on our YouTube live stream. And thanks so much, guys, for joining, and for everybody watching. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That is stream finished. Perfect. Great job.